Hi everyone. So here we are in my home office, and we're going to be doing a lecture like this today. For I don't know, is it useful to the video? It could just be audio. But anyway, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to see how it goes. For next Thursday, we're going to figure something else out. Hopefully, we can get uh, either use Slack or maybe Blackboard has something that we can all meet together, so you guys can ask me questions while we go through the ideas in the text. But for now, I'm going to just give a brief discussion of Plotinus and the Enneads. Um, Let me begin, first of all. So welcome back from spring break. I'm sorry that the papers didn't work out. This is all new and confusing. The coronavirus thing and the online teaching. The papers were good for the most part. I was very pleased with most of them, and I'm going to upload grades tonight or tomorrow. So let me say a few things about the papers. The papers were very good. There were a few issues. The primary issue was in many papers we didn't get enough information about the underlying ideas in the cave allegory. Most of you chose to write on Plato's allegory of the cave. Some of you took on what I think is a more difficult challenge, the discussion of the pre-Socratics, and some of those papers were really fantastic. And many of the Plato papers were also really good. But I want to highlight that for philosophy papers, it's always going to be to your benefit to dive into the deeper, bigger ideas. And what I saw in a number of papers was what felt more like a summary of the cave allegory, a kind of blow by blow of what happens in that allegory, which is fine, but it doesn't really get into the philosophical content of that allegory enough. So, right, how do Plato's cave allegory and his program for education illustrate that, or the nature of being? I can't remember exactly how the question was worded, and on a bigger scale, how do the program for education and the allegory of the cave illustrate the difference between ideas and appearances? That was really the heart of the question. And so I would just be wary in the next paper about too much summary. You want to, as we discussed, offer a thesis, offer some account of the big underlying ideas, the overarching ideas, underlying, overarching, whichever you prefer. And so, even if you struggle to articulate those, you're going to be better off making an attempt than in just sticking to summary. So that's all said. And the other comment I had is about quotations, and this is connected. That the way to get into those deeper philosophical ideas is to find more substantial quotes in the text. I warned against sort of superficial quotations. In this case, that would be Plato explaining something that happens to the prisoners or the person that escapes from the cave. Right, quotations aren't useful when they are illustrating plot points. Quotations are useful when they are illustrating the bigger ideas. So look for the more substantial, more complex quotations. Try and grapple with those passages. That's going to make your paper better. So with that in mind, let's say I know that we on the syllabus have another paper due this Thursday, the 13th. So that's obviously not going to happen. But I'm sorry, the 12th. So let's push that paper back to 2 weeks from today. We'll say it's due on the 23rd, and we're pushing things back. I think it's going to be like this maybe for the rest of the semester, which is to say a little bit improvised. But so yeah, let's shoot for the 23rd for that paper. I will think about paper questions and have a better idea of what that'll be when we talk on the 12th. All right, let's see. What other articles of business? So I'm going to get back to you about how we're going to do classes on Thursday, and I will upload your grades, and we'll discuss the next assignment on Thursday. You know, I could have a blackboard here or something. That would help. Maybe I'll try and do that for Thursday. I'm just making it up as we go. But let's get into Plotinus. So Plotinus is sometimes referred to as the last great ancient philosopher. And Plotinus is also known as the founder of neo-Platonism. Neo-Platonism being the Roman rebirth of Platonic philosophy. So Plotinus is a Roman philosopher, and his dates are 204 to 270 AD. So we are moving out of classical Athens, out of Greece, and out of the world before Christ, BC, and moving into Rome and into the 3rd century BC. And so a little bit of history here. First of all, Roman philosophy is sort of fundamentally different than Greek philosophy in a number of ways, although Roman philosophy is generally based in Greek philosophy. And we see this in Plotinus very clearly. Plotinus is perhaps the best example of a Roman philosopher who is adopting Greek philosophy, in particular Platonic philosophy, but streamlining that philosophy for a different period, a different people, and giving it a distinctly different flavor. Now, the dominant philosophy in Rome prior to Plotinus was also heavily influenced by Plato, but was not explicitly Platonic in the way that Plotinus is. And that philosophy was Stoicism. Stoicism, most famously advocated by Seneca and others. Stoicism can be encapsulated relatively well with a single idea, which is to live according to nature. The Stoic idea was, in short, to attempt to live in harmony with the laws of nature. The idea being sort of like, that sort of greeting card idea, right? Give me the strength to know, the courage to change what I can, the wisdom, the courage to change what I can, the acceptance to accept what I, wow, really blowing this. The courage to change what I'm able to change, the grace to accept what I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? That's Stoic philosophy. May have gotten that wording wrong too. But right, that's Stoic philosophy. The idea is the best life you can live is one that is in accordance with nature, in harmony with nature, that doesn't try to fight against what is inevitable and necessary, and makes its peace with the inevitable and necessary. And so we see there's a kind of Platonic influence here, right? Insofar as Plato also believes that the forms are natural, reality is natural, obviously, and ideas and intellectual pursuit, rationality, is determined by nature also. So when you are rational, when you are governed by your mind, when you are governed by knowledge of the forms, in some sense you are living according to nature, whereas those who hold on to opinion, believe that the physical world is more real or important, pursue bodily pleasure, pursue opinion in that way, those people are going to be less happy because they are unaware of nature, natural law, and are unable to live according to nature, unable to accept what they must accept, unable to know what they're able to change, and don't have the wisdom to know the difference. Right? So that's the sort of greeting card version of Stoicism. Stoicism is not simple in that sense. There's more to it, but we certainly see that idea played out over and over again in the Stoic philosophers. So Plotinus is coming into Roman philosophy